Good afternoon, everybody. It is Kevin Miller once again, Garden Plaza's Welcome Home here at Valley View, Garden Plaza of Valley View. Thank you all for joining us another Saturday afternoon on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. And remember, 208-322-0311, valleyviewret.com for more information. Josh Bartles joining us once again, Serenity Homes of the Treasure Valley. Josh, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again.
You know, you do something very special, and if people missed the last end of the show last week, just briefly describe your calling. It's not really a profession. It's not an occupation, and it's not just you, but it's your entire family that is involved in Serenity Homes of the Treasure Valley.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a family ordeal. My wife is fantastic at what she does. There's really no words that can describe the ability that she has when it comes to geriatric care. We do all levels of care, starting with independent living up through assisted living, nursing care, full care, and end-of-life care.
Right, in your home.
In our home, yes.
Where you live.
Yes.
No vacations, huh?
No, we do actually have vacations. We have some wonderful ladies that work for us that's actually, any time that we're not there, are there for us. We are staffed 24/7 around the clock.
Yeah, because people would say, we live in our homes, but, eventually we go out to the store or something like that, right?
Yeah, and that's where our employees come into play.
Okay. So describe a day at Serenity Homes of the Treasure Valley. Let's say somebody wants to go to the store or shopping. How does that work?
Somebody
living there.
As far as us or as far as one of our residents?
Your residents.
Well, typically, if they're wanting an outing and they're wanting to get out of the house,
right,
their loved ones would typically come get them, take them out to lunch, take them out to dinner,
right,
go do some sort of activity. In the past, there have been several times that we'll take our residents with us if they want to go to the store or if they want to go do what we're doing. It's nowhere out of the ordinary for that. They are part of our family, so it would be like your grandma looking at you and saying, "Hey, can I go to the store with you today?" You don't tell your grandma no.
Right, and so now you have your wife and you and your kids. Is that true?
Yes.
And the kids interact with the residents?
Absolutely. They're as much of a part of the business as we are. I've found in this industry that there's two things that our elderly love. That's children and pets. And you can watch their general demeanor if they're struggling increase. You can watch just a glow about them when kids are around. And it's a huge part of what we do. Right.
And obviously you've been doing this for quite some time.
Yes, my wife started this business 12 years ago.
And Serenity Homes, where are you?
We are in Eagle. We're just at the base of the foothills. We sit just outside of town, so we've got a real country feel. We're able to get away from the hustle and the bustle of the city. We're still close enough that all the services are right around the corner, but we're far enough out that you don't hear all the noises.
Sure, which really would help people that are trying to relax and retire and enjoy life. When that's easier said than done. How do you bring somebody into your home?
Well, we start with an interview process. We meet with the current potential resident. We meet with their family. We like to sit down with their current caregivers to make sure that they are not only a fit for us and what we do, but we're a fit for them. And we want all of our population, which is 4,
right.
It's a small population, we want them all to get along and all to be friends. Because obviously in a home environment, if there's any animosity, it can really change how things are going. It can take the mood and turn it drastically quickly. So we're very proactive in how that works.
Earlier we were talking about establishing trust with, let's say, the caregiver. How does that process work? Because again, they could be younger than us, Josh. They could be older, and you're dealing with their most precious asset, their loved one.
We just take the time to talk with them. We take the time to get to know them, to let them know us on a personal level instead of just a professional level. And I found that time and honesty are the two greatest things in earning trust.
Right, and when we're talking about earning trust, easier said than done.
Absolutely.
What about your wife's role in this?
My wife is the chief, the commander. She runs the show.
Right.
She does a fantastic job. She handles the general cares throughout the day. She teaches our employees how to do the job well. She's been doing this for a very long time, and she has a knack for it, a calling for it, however you want to describe that really gets down in there and explains that it's her second nature.
Sure. Now, we appreciate you being on. So if I call you Serenity Homes of the Treasure Valley, or I look you up on YouTube and see this guy with a beard, I give you a call at 208-869-3703. What happens?
Well, then we just talk to you about what your loved one's needs are, where they're at, what your expectations are, and we get a general idea over the phone as to whether or not our facility would work for your loved ones or not.
Right.
And from there, we start the next phase of come out and see us, or we'll come see you and start the interview process and go through the steps that way. If we determine at that point that you're probably not a great fit for what we do, then we talk about facilities like Garden Valley or
Garden Plaza
Valley
yes.
View. Sorry, I got tongue-tied there.
That happens all the time. No worries.
And I'll refer out there. Anytime I get a phone call, if we're not a correct fit, I like to help that family to find the correct fit, because I firmly believe that when God closes a door, He opens a window.
Well, and that is so important when you're looking at, when your heater goes out, it's probably not the best time to buy a heater, but that's when they have you.
Exactly.
I recently went through that where my HVAC in my home went out, and I said, boy, I'd love to be an HVAC sales guy because, they've got you. And, that would be when, let's say your grandmother or mother falls, they've got you at the, right there, because people are trying to figure out, what do I do? Go on the web, go to the phone book, trying to figure out the good and the bad, the people like you that care, and other people that may not have that same attention to detail.
My advice to that would be just simply take the time. Go see several places. I on numerous occasions, even when a family wants to come and place their loved one with me, I ask them, have you looked at anybody else? To make sure that this is what you want. Because I don't want to be that person that says, well, you have to come here, you don't have another choice, because that's not how it is. All of the elderly in our society have earned a respect of they deserve the best out there. Is the best out there a larger facility? Possibly. Is the best out there what we do? Possibly. Everybody's different, and everybody deserves what's best for them and their personality.
Based on your experience, what don't we understand about seniors?
I think that our society as a whole misses out on the incredible knowledge that they have and the incredible desire they have to share that knowledge, to share their life story. And people are typically too busy to take the time to learn their stories.
Some people just like to be heard.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife says it best. At any given point in time, we can have over 400 years of knowledge in our home. And that is an incredible feeling.
Indeed. So now, what do you do on a daily basis with your residents, with your guests, with your people in your home?
Well, you just said it. It's a home. It's not about bingo night or this activity or that activity. It's living out the golden years of your life in a home. If you want to get up and go out and enjoy the view on the back porch and watch the horses or watch the sunrise or watch the sunset or listen to the ducks fly around or just be, you can. If you want to watch some TV, if you want to read a book, if you want to go for a walk, it's just like living in a home.
So what kind of, in addition to a place where people can live, independent living, what about assisted living? What kind of care do you provide, if any?
We provide all levels of care. We go everything from independent living through assisted living, full nursing care to end-of-life care.
Full nursing, huh?
Yes.
Wow. Josh, anything else that you would like to share with us here?
I would just like to thank all of those.
You're not on just one, but you've been on 2 shows.
Yeah,
you're chasing D for
it's been
MVP.
Great. I'd like to thank you guys for having me on. I'd like to thank Valley View for doing what they do and having this show, and all of those caregivers out there in the Valley that do a great job at caring for our elderly and giving them the just respect and love that they need.
Well, thank you for caring.
Thank you.
Brother, you're doing good work.
I sure like to think so.
No, I'm probably the most cynical person, at least in this room, and that says something. And you should be commended, you and your family. So we wish you well. We want to let everybody know, 208-869-3703. If they would like to get a hold of you on YouTube, Serenity Homes of the Treasure Valley. And thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Kevin Miller with you. Once again, we are at Garden Plaza of Valley View. The program is called Welcome Home. Every Saturday from 2 to 3, we talk about senior issues, and we discuss the newsmakers from Valley View here at Garden Plaza. If you have a question, maybe you have a loved one who needs some help, you can call them at 208-322-0311. That's 208-322-0311. ValleyViewRET.com. That's ValleyViewRET.com. And you can talk to Jennifer. You can talk to Kat. You can't talk to Jacob, but you can talk to just about anybody here. Take a tour at any time, and they would love to help you. And if Garden Plaza Valley View is not your place, surely they can give you some information. They truly just want to help. Over 30 years of serving the Treasure Valley. Kevin Miller, you're listening to Welcome Home on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. And welcome back to Welcome Home on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Garden Plaza of Valley View, this is where we are every Saturday at this time. Their number, give them a call today, 322-0311, 208-322-0311. ValleyViewRET.com. That's ValleyViewRET.com. Joining us now from St. Alphonsus Home Health and Hospice is Kathleen McCoy and Colleen DeBolin. Ladies, thank you for joining us here on Welcome Home. So welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Well, certainly let's talk a little, Kathleen, about what you do at St. Alphonsus.
Thank you. So I am the clinical liaison and clinical educator for hospice, but I do work together with the home health and hospice department of St. Alphonsus, and I go and meet with families. I help educate. I talk to them about what the hospice benefit is, what it entails. I help with discharge planning. I do some of that in the hospital. I help coordinate events and education in the communities and work with our vendors.
Well, when we take a look at hospice, is it a growing field? Is there a need? Obviously, we're going to talk about volunteerism, but we hear this word hospice a lot, and thanks to our friends here at Garden Plaza, we have time to pretty much break that down.
Right. That's a great question that you present, because it actually does have a great need, and 30% of people nationally are not receiving the benefit that's out there. So I think there's a couple of things that limit people. One is fear and the unknown of hospice. So we do wish that we had more opportunity to get in front of people and educate and discuss and have this discussion about what hospice is and what it isn't.
I think once you're educated, then it lessens the fear factor, kind of the misconceptions associated with hospice.
Sure.
Right.
You guys want to jump in or?
On the misconceptions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Misconceptions. There's quite a few.
Yeah. Hospice is really about hope. That's number one. We want to give as much hope.
Yes. Yes, and also that hospice is just for when you're ready to die.
That's a misconception.
A big misconception, because I once had a physician tell me, you know, Kathleen, hospice does its best work before you're needed. So, meaning our team can get in there, we can get to know you, we can help manage symptoms, shortness of breath, pain, you know, all the symptoms that have to go with people being uncomfortable with a life-limiting illness. And we can get in there and help people before it becomes a crisis. And we have people that come on to hospice and they graduate because they do so much better. And statistically, it's known that people do better with hospice care because you get that extra support from the team.
And one of the things about hospice that really sets us apart in the medical community is that we take on the whole family as a unit, not just the patient. We're looking out for the family members there. We're helping give them emotional support, education, all the things that they need to prepare to care for this loved one in this situation.
Right.
So.
It's more of a holistic care. So it's just not physical, but it's psychosocial and it's spiritual. And we have our volunteer program as well. So it has a holistic philosophy.
Well, and we'll get back to how someone graduates from a hospice, but we do have a lot of misconceptions. And why would somebody volunteer for hospice?
A majority of my volunteers are people, family members who have been in the situation of that they have a loved one that has been on hospice. So they know the challenges that it can bring, the emotional exhaustion it can sometimes bring. And so they really want to give back, give their time to these family members to give them a break so that they can rest up and recharge so that they're refreshed and able to care for their loved ones.
Sure. And we'll get back to you in a minute. How does someone graduate from hospice?
Great question. So there are criteria with hospice, and part of the criteria in eligibility is that if their life-limiting illness ran its normal course, it wouldn't be surprising if they had a 6-month prognosis.
Because that's really the perception. Hospice, it's the end of times.
Right. But often, because of the extra care and support, people, and they're doing so much better, they extend that prognosis. And so, if they no longer have the prognosis, then they can graduate off of hospice.
And that really happens.
Yes, it does. It happens more often than you would think. It's quite surprising. I thought I've seen it all, but...
Yeah, and she was saying the requirements, and that's from Medicare requirements that
Right.
they give us. Yeah.
It's
So
a
it's
Medicare.
not just somebody waving a wand and saying
You're
here's
better.
your diploma. Yeah.
No, it's Medicare regulations, and we meet as a team every couple of weeks and discuss the patients and look at their eligibility, look at their status, and how they're doing. And so it's a discussion, and that's also a regulation from Medicare.
You know, I often do this when I'm doing my show every morning on KIDO Talk Radio when we're talking to callers, and we'll do this right now. What do you, unfiltered, uncensored, what do you want to say to the public right now about hospice? We'll get back to the Kevin Miller questions, but, here you have this opportunity to talk to hundreds of people on a Saturday afternoon. They're in their car hanging out. Hospice will eventually impact all of us. What would you say to them to grab their attention?
Well, probably the first thing that strikes me is to let people know that it's not just for when you're ready to die, that there's so much more that has to do with hospice, and that we are here, that there is a service that is Medicare regulated, Medicare provided, that people are not taking advantage of. So I would just ask them to be open and to reach out to their doctor.
Oh, it's that stigma that you're fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That fear of the unknown. And it's just changed so much through the years. It's really developed, and it's really with our technology, people are living longer.
Sure.
There's more treatments that are available. So healthcare has evolved. So I would just ask people to be open to the conversation.
I blinked out there. I
So
agree with
compelling
that. Yeah.
she was reaching you. Yeah.
Yes. I agree with all of those statements, yes. And we really focus on, trying to take that fear factor out, to not have maybe death be this...
Well, people are worried about the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, that once you sign up, then that's just it. You're giving up, and that's not the case. We really want to take the fear out of hospice and out of death if possible. So that's why we hospice tries to tackle those spiritual issues that maybe people might have. What else?
Mm-hmm. And we do. I always tell people to be open to the spiritual counselor. And some of my best experiences have been with the spiritual counselor. They're
Now, what does the spiritual
non-denominational.
counselor do? You're saying non-denominational, so
Completely.
Everybody's always about separation of church and state these days.
Right.
Not that I would ever advocate that, but the spiritual counselor, how does that work?
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a chaplain or a spiritual counselor, non-denominational, like I had mentioned, but also that reaches people's faith, whatever it may be, are not.
Sure.
So it doesn't have to, a person doesn't need to have a specific faith. They're part of the team, and they sometimes can be your best friend.
How powerful is faith, based on your experience?
Well, I think it's very personal. It's a very personal issue with each person, and every person is so different. It's like every birth is different, every death is different, and how people live their life. And I just wanted to say one thing about this fear factor, is I think we need to remember that we live from the moment we're born to the moment we don't. And there's a lot of time, and sometimes people get this diagnosis, or they have a terminal diagnosis, and they stop living. And hospice is all about not doing that.
We don't want them to give up and just throw in the towel, say, oh, I've got this terminal diagnosis, that's it. I'm stagnant from that point on. We don't want them to live a stagnant life, We want them to have the full life experience still, even with this life-limiting diagnosis. So we really focus on living.
All right, much more coming up. We've got a lot of questions talking about hospice here on Welcome Home from Garden Plaza of Valley View on KIDO Talk Radio. The phone number here, if you want to get a hold of the folks, whether it's Jennifer, whether it's Kat, whether it's someone else, they'll gladly answer your questions. 208-322-0311. That's 208-322-0311. ValleyViewRET.com. ValleyViewRET.com. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And welcome back to Garden Plaza of Valley View. Welcome home. The phone number here, 208-322-0311. We continue on our discussion of hospice with our pros from St. Alphonsus. Let's talk about caregivers. The strain of taking care of a loved one, of someone who has raised us, and then all of a sudden they're going on hospice. What's the burden a caregiver has?
Oh, there's so much. There's so much. I always think of the analogy when you're flying on the plane and the stewardess tells you, to first put the oxygen on yourself before you help your loved one. And we often will talk to caregivers and remind them that they first need to make sure they're taking care of themselves, make sure that they're getting the sleep they need, that they're eating properly, that they are doing, self-care, because it can be so stressful, and there's so much guilt associated, with caring for your loved one, and you want to do such a good job. And that's why I think one thing that really sets St. Alphonsus up is our volunteer program, which is just stellar.
So it's one of my main focuses in my volunteer program is to provide what we call breaks for caregivers. They get a volunteer that comes free of charge to the home. They're trained by me, so they're vetted. And they stay with the patient while the caregiver gets a break. And a break can look like anything from, I have caregivers that just go to the gym for a little while to go, exercise and keep healthy. But I also have caregivers who just nap while the volunteer's there, or they go to a movie. And I really encourage caregivers to use their volunteer for the me time,
But there's a sense of guilt, isn't there?
There is, and so it does require a little finesse in building trust and encouragement by not only myself, but I get the staff. We all try to encourage a caregiver to utilize this program and give them permission. I think that's a really important thing in this field, is giving a lot of permission. It's okay to feel like this. It's okay to feel overwhelmed, and it's okay to utilize these resources.
So let's talk about both programs. How does hospice care work at St. Alphonsus, and how can someone be involved and benefit from a volunteer? So if does St. Alphonsus just run through the hospital, or how does that work? I know the volunteer, and we'll talk about the volunteer program as well. Mm-hmm. Or are you just educating people on hospice?
We are. We have our home health and hospice
and
department.
We're our own kind of separate agency from the hospital. We're the same, but different. So we're not out of the hospital. So I don't have the hospital volunteers. I have specific hospice volunteers.
Okay.
So that's one difference.
And we'll get back to the training idea about that and how we train folks. But how do you determine, and this is our most important question we ask people, how do you determine who's going to give your loved one the best care? Because it's scary. We've heard horror stories about people that have been abused, that have had their money taken away. When someone has holistic spiritual hospice care, we want to make sure they're actually getting that. So
Exactly.
are there any signs that we can look for, warning signs, or what to look out for?
That's a really good question. And I think one important thing is making sure that you have the caregivers are vetted background checks, that they are trained, that they're licensed. And at St. Al's Hospice, all of our caregivers and our certified nursing assistants and nurses, everyone's licensed, everybody's highly trained. So, and with background checks in place. So that's an important thing.
And I think one of the important things to remember in this climate that we live in is that as a patient, you're actually a consumer. So you get to interview who you want. And just because your doctor said, here, go with this agency, this caregiver, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be married to them. You find out for yourself is what you should do. I think you should interview multiple agencies, caregiver agencies, depending on your needs, and then you can pick from there.
Well, that is important because you have, so many times whether it's the insurance this or the healthcare that, or this is what you do, this, but people are empowered. They can make their own choices.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the interview is so important because you want somebody who's a match with the family, who's going to connect. And people know, I always say interview at least 3 and take advantage of what's out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think during that interview, if you meet with somebody who has really good, from the team that has good communication skills, then it a leader that has good communication skills is going to have staff that has good communication skills. And really that's what it's all about, is having good communication to care.
I'm with you, but, there is that emotional strain, responsibility, and dealing with not only the caregiver, but the hospice patient who, even though they might be, regardless of their age, concerned about their next direction in life or the end of life. That's easier said than done, getting somebody that has the patience, the temperament, so it's a positive experience as opposed to a negative one.
Right. And that's one thing that I'm so impressed with our staff, our nurses. I think hospice, too, the people that work in hospice, it's kind of a calling.
I'd say, yeah.
Yes, and they just, the presence and the dignity and the compassion that you get from most, the nurses, especially the ones we work with. Pretty amazing.
Sure. And like we said, easier said than done. What about the volunteers? What type? You said you grill them. Well, you didn't say you grill them.
I vet them.
That's for entertainment purposes only. But you train them. What's that process?
So it's similar to getting a job. I interview. I try to ascertain what they are wanting to do as a volunteer, and if that's going to fit in well with what my program provides. And then after they kind of get through that interview process, I do kind of one-on-one training depending on what their background is. One-on-one training then, depending on their background, training can go 10 hours and it can go up to 16 hours. But that's with homework included.
Homework?
Homework. So they're sent home with homework. They go through this training program. They get background checks. We have all of our volunteers get a TB test to make sure they're not a carrier for TB. And after they do all their homework and all of that background check stuff, then I take them into the field and give them kind of field training. So it's a real, I feel like my training program is real intimate, one-on-one, and I adjust it to what the needs of, like what my volunteer would need to be, what they feel like they need to learn. So.
A personal question for both of you. What brought you into this field?
That's a great question. And I think everybody has their own why when you ask them to hospice. Mine was taking care of my father, who was dying from colon cancer. And I wasn't a hospice nurse at the time, but he was a very private man, and he did not want to call hospice. And he said, you can just, Kathleen, I just want you to take care of me. And I was on the phone in the middle of the night with hospice, making sure I was doing everything right and, giving him what he needed. And it just kind of opened a door for me. I realized, and later on I got a call inviting me to work in hospice. I just had a feeling people are kind of drawn to this work. It's really either your thing or it's not, I find.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I got drawn into geriatrics, and from there I really developed a passion for helping people find out kind of what their passion is and going with that, maybe from like more of a recreational standpoint. So I really like to find out what makes a person tick. I really like to find out what their passions and joys are and help them pursue those. So I really enjoy this work because I can help people validate their lives and figure out what is the most meaningful thing to them, and also get people to help people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, after hearing what you have to say, I think we need to talk. But anyway, back to speaking to folks one-on-one, and this is very important, to the caregiver. What do you want to say to them? Because we take care of everybody but ourselves. That is so prevalent in our lives today.
I would say be willing to reach out and ask for what you need. Communicate. That goes a long ways. Sometimes caregivers feel very isolated and they're very alone,
right,
and they don't want to speak up. And that's one really benefit with having hospice present, because we have this wonderful team that is there that's able to come in and visit and be a support and kind of be this safety net for families and be able to help caregivers and educate and support them. Be aware of what their needs are.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say self-care. That's important. You're so focused on caring for a loved one, you can't forget to do things to make sure that you stay healthy too.
Indeed. If people want more information, what can they do? You guys?
You call
our website.
Okay, here, I got your. You can have your cards back there.
We of course have a website.
We do. We have a website, and you also can call our home health and hospice number, 208-672-1707.
And our website is different from the hospital in that it's St. Alphonsus, the whole word, but then it's HHH. That's for homehealthandhospice.com. So it's a little different than St. Al's Hospital website.
Ladies, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you for
having us.
Caring.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio, Garden Plaza. Welcome home. Here we are, another outstanding show. Remember, folks, if you have a question, would like to take a tour, 208-322-0311. We'll give you that number again. That's 208-322-0311. Valley View, RET, valleyviewret.com. Kat is joining us here, and you usually give the tours, right?
I usually do, Kevin. Yep, and I get to meet all the different individuals that walk through our doors and come here for various reasons.
You know, we take a look at who we started the show with, Josh, who runs Serenity Homes, and really the overall theme we've had, talking about hospice today, it so reinforces what you all have here. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle, it's a calling at Garden Plaza of Valley View.
Exactly, Kevin. There's not a person in this building that's here just because it's a paycheck and it's easy. They're here because they love these residents. They like working with this demographic of individuals, and they really feel that internal calling or that need to serve those individuals that really have it all. You know, they've been here on this earth for so much longer than the rest of us. They have the wisdom, the knowledge, and they deserve that quality of life.
You know, it has been mild, and the weather in Idaho can change at any time.
Sure.
That's a big concern for you here.
It is, because you never know. I mean, we see individuals come in after a snowstorm and they say, oh my goodness, I could not shovel my driveway. What am I going to do? I can't mow my lawn when the summer starts again. What am I going to do? And that's something that's a burden we can take off of individuals. We can say, snow removal, we got it. Landscaping, we got it. Maintenance services, we got it.
Well, there's something about being in a group.
Sure.
You know, where you're not alone. The fear of isolation, the fear of being alone. How do you all address that here?
Well, we really believe the power in numbers. We really truly believe that socialization is something that helps to better someone's quality of life. And that, for some people, can look very different. For me, as someone who loves to talk, who loves to meet new people, who loves to go out, my version of socialization is going to be a lot different than an individual who maybe they just want, you know, a quick chat. They just want people around while they're reading. So we're able to meet people wherever they are. If they want a full calendar of social activities, we've got it. Right. We're going to be able to service those people. If they just want to know that there's someone here to support them in case something happens, we can also meet them there.
So let's, before we get carried away, and I forget to ask you about the events coming up, and the segment flies by, as it usually does. What are some of the things that you'd like to discuss here?
Well, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, Kevin, and Valentine's Day here at Garden Plaza is definitely a treat. So we start off, we know we have quite a few couples here. We also have quite a few individuals that just like that companionship and friendship component. So we start the day off in the afternoon with a Friendship Day social. And we call it Friendship Day as opposed to Valentine's Day there because we're here for companionship and friendship and partnership. We'll have a full bar, we'll have treats, we'll have
a full bar.
Absolutely. Wow. Do you not like to do that with your friends, Kevin?
Well, if I had any, Kat, but yes.
We'll also have some activities that our amazing activity staff has been planning on. And then after that, after dinner in the evening, we'll also have an endless love party. And we'll have performances by Michael McCormick. We'll have songs playing all night. We'll have some really sweet treats, some decadent candies that our dietary staff is making for us.
Huh.
And while that party is going on, we'll have some little Valentine's Day Cupid elves, whatever you want to call us, going into our resident rooms, turning down their bed, leaving some roses and some chocolates on their pillows. So it just has that extra little feel of special romance.
Wow. Getting back to the whole endless love thing. That's for people that are here that have been married for so many years or together. Can you describe that experience?
For someone,
you know, we're very comfortable with each other. That we can describe this endless love on the radio.
Well, I will say this, Kevin. For someone who has been engaged for about 6 months now, it's so inspiring to me to meet with some of our couples here who have been married for 50, 60 years, and just hear their stories and to get to see that romance is still alive. They still look at each other with a sparkle in their eyes, and I think it's just so beautiful and raw and just very inspiring. So it's something that we like to celebrate here.
Well, and who knows? You might find romance.
You never know.
Romance or friendship.
We've definitely seen it.
Why do you all go into their rooms and do that? Why is that so important? When people think about care, they think of shelter, they think of food and medical care. Why go into their rooms, their homes, and turn their beds and do that sort of thing?
Because Valentine's Day for us is a day of romance and magic, if you will, if you want to get a little
Sure.
teary-eyed. And so if we can add that layer of romance that I'm staying in a hotel and they're going to turn down my bed, we have our fireplaces roasting, we have chocolate on our pillows, and you're able to bring back some memories of past Valentine's Days that our individuals have had and kind of transport them, if you will, into those memories and let them experience something new and exciting that maybe they didn't expect or they saw last year and are excited for again this year.
Sure. Everybody's young at heart.
Absolutely.
Right, indeed. By the way, you're listening to Welcome Home, Garden Plaza of Valley View. We are here on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. If you'd like to call, get a tour, have a question, Jennifer, Kat, and others would be more than happy to answer your phone calls or set up a tour. 208-322-0311. That's 208-322-0311. Valley View Rent. That's valleyviewret.com. And when you get a phone call, how does that work? How does the process work, Kat?
Well, first we're going to ascertain what their needs are. We're going to figure out what it is they're looking for, and we're going to let them know what we can offer to them and what's different about our community as opposed to somewhere else that they may go to. Also encourage people to come to the events that we have. You're welcome to come to our Valentine's Day event. The day after, we have our health and wellness fair. We'll have over 30 vendors providing interactive activities and resources and information for people. That's a perfect opportunity that takes the pressure off. Pop in, find some information out.
And you're saying people can come in off the street?
Absolutely. We encourage it. We like to keep our doors open for individuals and know that when they walk in, they're going to find the resources that they need. They're going to find the support that they need. And if we can help them in housing searches as well, we're going to be here to do that too.
Well, and that is so important, regardless of what your need is, whether
Exactly.
it's independent living or assisted living.
Exactly. Wherever you are, we're going to help you determine what it is that you may need, and we're going to help you determine the best fit for you. And sometimes we're very aware of it. The best fit may not be our building, and that's why it was so great to hear from Josh earlier. Working in that certified family home, that very small environment, that might be a better fit for someone that we're meeting with. So we have those resources at our disposal to help hook individuals up with what's best for them.
Right. You know just about everybody.
For the most part.
And if you don't, you're welcome to join us here at the health fair. When is that again?
That'll be February 15th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. right here in our bar area inside our building. There'll be over 30 vendors. We'll have massage therapists. We'll have eyeglass workers. We'll have teeth workers. We'll also be doing a fun black light hand washing activity to see really how many germs we have out there.
Okay. That should be very entertaining. When you take a look at the upcoming year, new year, everybody has New Year's resolutions. How about the staff and the residents here? Do you guys do that, the New Year's resolutions thing?
Absolutely. We had a big New Year's party, and we all sat down afterwards as a community, so our residents and our staff, and we kind of talked in an open forum about what our goals for the future. And from residents, it's things like being more positive, getting more social, trying new activities. And from our staff, we're seeing the same thing. We're trying to incorporate as many new and exciting parts into our community. So we'll also have a secret performance next week by a group that our activities staff is keeping very hush-hush. All we know is it's on February 9th, so it's coming up in the afternoon. So we're very excited for that. And those are just a couple of examples of ways that our staff is trying to keep it fun and interesting and never stay stagnant.
When we take a look at the history of this home, can you describe that?
32 years here in the Treasure Valley, and we're providing that continued tradition of excellence to our residents. We have a lot of longevity with our staff. I know I've touched on it before. We have some staff that have been here for over 20 years. They stay because they enjoy the work with the residents, they enjoy the community, and they really truly believe in what it is that we're doing for the senior population here in Boise, which we know is on the rise.
Sure. The food.
Oh, food is one of the best. Our chef, Paul, he's from England, so he has a very fun accent, but he's been with us for 10 years, and he actually hosts a monthly food committee meeting with our residents where it's an open forum for them to say, hey, I want to try this.
Right.
And so we're incorporating some, we just added quesadillas and tamales to our menu on recommendation from one of our residents.
Kat, anything else you'd like to share with us?
I would just say the best way to know what a building is about, what a community is about, is to pop in. Stop in at any time. We're here 7 days a
And you
week
could
and
spend
take a
the
look
night?
around. Absolutely. We do have guest rooms, so there's definitely some options there, and we encourage you to speak with the staff, let us know what your needs are, and go from there.
Well, Kat, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us again, Kevin.
Appreciate it. Remember the phone number, 208-322-0311, 208-322-0311, Valley View, RET, valleyviewret.com. This has been Welcome Home, Garden Plaza, Valley View. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.